Welcome to the Calder Farmstead.
Now the Ice Hogs back out to center in transition. Carlson with Quenneville 2-on-1. Right when Carlson comes, Quenneville scores!
Here's a chance for Carrick. Fighting scores! Off the face-off! Up in Zeminger. Pulled back to Werenski. Has it. Shoots one. Bounces off a man. 5 seconds left. Werenski. Another jam on the shot. Turning and firing. They go! Scores! They score! Now they catch each other. They both go right over the top. Matching rights to one another. McDermott gets the helmet off of Cassie.
And now, with 9 minutes gone in overtime, the Bears breaking out right side with Bear. Looks like cutting to the net. Bear will score!
And here are your hosts, Cece and Sean.
Hello and greetings from the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado.
And Rungsted, Denmark.
Welcome to the Calder Farmstead Podcast, episode number 70 for Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021. If you're hoping for a podcast featuring a discussion of sustainable development goals for new farmers, we are not going to be much help. This is an American Hockey League podcast. My name is CC Hockley, the AHL editor of Full Press Hockey.
And I'm Sean O'Brien from Stats Track and the AHL's only league-wide analytics guy.
And as always, we thank you for tuning in with us.
If you're new to hearing CC and I talk about hockey, we're going to recap some of the matchups from the past weekend for you. We both watch a lot of AHL games, and we're going to talk about what we see when we watch the film, as well as use some advanced stats to help us break it down. If that's new to you, maybe you might want to head over to our podcast feed or YouTube channel and check out episode 0. Scroll all the way to the bottom. It's down there. It's a short primer on some of the stats we're going to be talking about, as well as how we view what's important on the ice. So if you're new to some of the more advanced hockey stats terms like PDO or the point shares model, or newer hockey terms like controlled zone entries, you might want to go check that out, so you better be able to pick up what we're putting down. I promise it's not that nerdy or technical. It's only 20 minutes, and let's be honest, you wasted 20 minutes today trying to figure out which NHL games are still being played before Christmas. The answer is none. You'll never get that time back. So next time, why not spend a little more time with us watching hockey or talking hockey?
Yeah, I mean, you can watch it too, but not in the NHL preferably, especially not until breaks. So anyway, let's get started, shall we? We've got we had a 1-2 matchup over in the Atlantic Division as the Springfield Thunderbirds and the Hartford Wolfpack. Not in that order. Hartford's 1, Springfield's 2. Sean, take it away. What did those two games look like this past weekend between these two?
Well, as always, we are going to start with the goals recap. On Saturday, during an extended offensive zone possession after a power play, Pajunemi picks up a loose puck at the point, spins towards the wall, takes advantage of a miscommunication by the T-Birds forwards in D-zone coverage, walks into the slot, fires a wrister blocker side that Patrick Kodorenko tips past Hofer. 1-0 Wolfpack with 9:10 left in the first period. Off a dump and chase retrieval, Nolan Stevens hits Mackenzie McEachern in the slot from behind the net. Double Mac gets the shot off, but Wall makes the save. Stevens finds Double Mac again in the front, but Wall makes another save. Stevens makes a third pass from behind the net to the slot, this time to Drew Callen, who snipes one top shelf glove side. Tie game at 1 with 3:24 left in the first period. Ty Roning overskates a bouncing puck on a power play zone entry attempt. Mackenzie McEachern charges in to try and get the loose puck for a breakaway. Roning smartly plays it to Wall to cover, but Double Mac breaks up the freeze attempt by Wall. Wall tries to get back into his crease, and Double Mac picks up the loose puck in the corner, hits Callie Rosen with a pass, and Rosen fires it past the diving Tyler Wall. 2-1 T-Birds with 1:07 left in the first period. On the power play, Johnny Brodzinski finds Reunanen at the top of at the point from the half wall. Reunanen settles the puck and quickly moves it to Anthony Greco on the opposite half wall. Greco quickly hits Morgan Barron in the slot, and Barron wastes little time wristing it into the net with Tim the Tower Gettinger setting a perfect screen. Barron's wrister deflects off Gettinger and finds a way in. Tied at 2, 7:46 left in the second period. Mackenzie McEachern helps Drew Callen get a face-off win and passes back to Michael Kim at the point. Kim goes D to Tommy Cross, who has plenty of space to walk into the slot as Anthony Greco blew his assignment off the face-off. Cross shoots and it deflects off Matthew Robertson, then off Double Mac's stick and in the net. 3-2 Springfield with 5:46 left in the second period. Just over 30 seconds later, Morgan Barron has the puck roll off the heel of his stick at the point off a faceoff win. Mackenzie McEachern is there to scoop up the loose puck and is off to the races on a shorthanded breakaway. Double Mac drives on his backhand, cuts across the slot, and tucks it 5-hole on Tyler Wall as he moved side to side. 4-2 Springfield with 5:18 left in the second period. Michael Kim recovers a clearing attempt on the power play and works it down the wall to Laferriere. Laferriere gives it back to Kim at the point, and Kim goes D to Tommy Cross, who walks the blue line and wrists one towards the net. Kean Washcrook allegedly gets a tip on it, and it goes in the net past Tyler Wall. 5-3 T-Birds with 15:54 left in the third period. On a Hartford power play, Tommy Cross loses a puck battle behind the net, and Tim the Tower Gettinger rims the puck around to Greco at the point. Greco one-touch passes it to Reunanen across the blue line before Reunanen gives it back. Greco then finds Brodzinski at the face-off dot with a pass through traffic across Royal Road. Johnny B. Good does his best Ovi impression and one-times the puck past a sprawling Hofer, 5-3 with 11:42 left in the third period. Once again on the power play, Johnny Brodzinski works the puck along the half wall after collecting a rebound from his own shot. Johnny B. Good plays catch with Reunanen at the point. He works it to Gettinger below the goal line. The Tower makes a pass from behind the net to Anthony Greco at the faceoff dot. Greco fires a one-timer. Hofer makes a save but kicks the rebound into the slot. Morgan Barron plays garbage man and taps it home. 5-4 with 5:13 left in the third. Mackenzie McEachern completes the hat trick with the empty netter to seal it. Thunderbirds take it on Saturday, 6-4. On Sunday, we had more goals. Patrick Kodorenko frees a puck from a board battle in the T-Birds defensive zone. Kodorenko tries to pass to the point, but Hugh McGing intercepts and springs himself and Sam Annis on a 2-on-1 against Taro Reunanen. Annis races down the wall and looks like he's eyeing up a pass, but rifles it past a frozen Keith Kincaid. 1-0 T-Birds with 6:19 left in the first period. Matthew Robertson whiffs on a breakout pass, and Hugh McGing recovers it at the point. McGing finds Callie Rosen across the blue line. Rosen skates into the slot, draws two Wolfpack defenders to him. Then Rosen slides the puck across the slot to Klim Kostin, who tries a power move to drive to the net. He loses the puck in the progress, but a crashing Keon Washcrook is there to bang home the loose puck. 2-0 Thunderbirds. Klim Kostin recovers a dump in by Sam Annis on the power play and works it back to Annis on the half wall. The T-Birds work the puck on the outside from Annis to Rosen to McGing and back to Annis. And he gets it with an open shooting lane and fires a wrist shot that Nolan Stevens gets a stick on, and it beats Keith Kincaid. 3-0 Thunderbirds with 9:08 left in the second. Nikita Alexandrov gets a defensive zone clear with a flip into the neutral zone, but Johnny Brodzinski is able to glove it down at the red line and get transition going right away. He passes east to west across the neutral zone to Anthony Greco, who hits the blue line with speed. He drives Callie Rosen back and makes a drop pass for Tim Gettinger. The Tower walks in to a slap shot and buries it over the shoulder of Colton Ellis. 3-1 T-Birds with 1:20 left to go in the second. Tarmo Reunanen fires a shot from the point wide, and it's recovered by Ty Ronning in the far corner. He passes to Kodorenko behind the net, and Kodorenko slides out and finds Hunter Skinner at the point for a one-timer that beats Colton Ellis from distance. 3-2 T-Birds with 12:13 left in the third. With time winding down, the Wolfpack win a faceoff in the offensive zone with their net empty. The faceoff win comes back to Reunanen, who goes across the blue line to Greco. Greco flies down the wall and tries to pass into the slot. It deflects off a stick and goes right to Johnny Brodzinski, and he buries a shot past Colton Ellis to tie the game at 3 with 33 seconds left in the third period. Regulation and 3-on-3 OT do not give us a winner, so we head to the skills competition to decide the fate of this game. Tim Gettinger goes out wide, cuts through the slot, gives Ellis a little shoulder shimmy, then goes backhand forehand and tucks it low blocker side. Tim the Tower Gettinger completes the comeback, and the Wolfpack take it 4-3.
A lot of goals that weekend. All right. Let's go to our picks recap for this one. I had home teams winning in both. Springfield on Saturday, Hartford on Sunday. Chalk 2 up for CC. Sean, you were half right. You said if both teams were at full strength here, this would be a much different conversation, but they weren't. So you decided to take Hartford in both, and the model agreed with you on that, taking Hartford as a 55.1% favorite. So yeah, you and the model were half right, and I decided to go against the grain and pick Springfield in that first one. But man, Springfield might have taken the sweep if it wasn't for that Hartford comeback in that second game. That's for sure.
It's funny because as much as I tried to update the model and keep it up to speed on what the transactions were, there are, of course, a couple last-minute ones. Nathan Todd out for Springfield, Klim Kostin in for Springfield. For Hartford, Zach Jones out for completely unexplained reasons. Same with Nathan Todd. I'm assuming injury or COVID protocol or something like that, but I got nothing to answer those. But those are big shifts for how this kind of series played. But let's dive right into it. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk some team level takeaways here. Sean, your key to the game for the T-Birds was to make this a low event, grind it out kind of series and turn the neutral zone into sludge. Saturday's game was a 6-4 effort, or a 6-4 outcome rather, featuring 93 shots on goal. And that sure sounds more like a boat race than an ugly grinded out sort of mucking up the neutral zone kind of game. I take it Springfield wasn't able to control the neutral zone?
Neither team did an amazing job of forechecking, although Springfield forced a fair amount of dump and chase from Hartford. However, the T-Birds defense were not good at recovering those dump-ins and making good first passes to get play going the other way. These games had the feel of a boat race, but I don't want to call it that. We think of a boat race as two teams racing up and down the ice, trading odd man rushes and scoring chances, because that's what boat races are. Two ships going as fast up and down as they can. This series had a lot of up and down play and a lot of pace, but there weren't a lot of odd man rushes or trading chances. This was a grittier boat race, more physical, not as elegant, not as smooth, still a fast-paced game and a lot of fun, but a workman-like feel to it with a lot of dump and chase, working the cycle, corner battles, that kind of thing. I'd say in that aspect, it was more like a lawnmower race than a boat race. That seems to fit the metaphor better here.
Gotcha. Lawnmower race. Springfield, I tell you, Sean, they also didn't listen to you. As you said, a key to the weekend for them was to stay out of the penalty box. They did not do that. So how did their penalty kill look?
I think it depends on the way that you look at it. In raw penalty kill terms, they went for 7 for 10 on the weekend, which is bad. Or 7 for 10 in this series. We're not counting Friday's Pennsylvania battle for either team. So just in this weekend series, they went 7 for 10, which is very bad. In net penalty kill terms, they went 9 for 10 because they scored 2 shorthanded goals, negating 2 power play goals, which makes it a much better rate. Just seeing the raw penalty kill numbers, though, in film, I would definitely not be happy with some aspects. Their forecheck, while shorthanded, did very, very little to stop Hartford from gaining the zone on the power play. And they were basically flying through the neutral zone up a man at will. That's not what you're looking to see. In the zone, I thought T-Birds were lacking in details. They were aggressive at times, but a lot of times passes got through to high danger areas because sticks were in the wrong lane or just kind of placed there haphazardly, not really trying to do anything, more of just, this is what my coach said to do, so I'm going to do it, without really understanding the mentality behind it. A lot of penalty killers were also not scanning for forwards over their shoulder and keeping tabs on where Wolfpack players were. Also, a lot of lost battles at the front of the net, along the boards on the penalty kill for the T-Birds. I would not be happy with those outcomes. The fact that you scored 2 shorthanded goals, that's super. But they were both in ways that was just kind of good fortune rather than an intentional tactic. We'll take them however we get them. But at the same point, I would much rather, if I were the coaching staff, I would focus more on that raw 7 out of 10 and ignore the fact that we scored 2 shorthanded goals as part of our penalty kill improvements. Even though, yes, in the raw terms, being able to cancel out 2 power play goals with 2 shorties definitely helps you be able to sell to your team that there were improvements.
Yeah, and shifting from the shorthanded aspect for the Thunderbirds, Springfield's power play, the other side of the special teams, they also got on the board after a long streak of not clicking. What'd you see on the other side of the coin for the T-Birds?
Some good mixed with some bizarre. Most of the time, they ran a pretty basic 1-3-1 power play. It's the power play formation that basically every professional team at this point uses. The Tampa Bay Lightning made it famous a couple of years ago when they just were dummying teams on the power play. But you have one guy at the point, 2 guys on the sidewall, a bumper in the middle, and then a net front guy. 1-3-1. And it generated some chances for them. They were able to work it and make some things go. Like we talked about in the preview, though, being that short on firepower due to call-ups, that's always going to hurt the effectiveness of your power play. But they did get some quality chances. Having Klim Kost in there definitely helped them. Bizarrely, though, they'd shift from that 1-3-1 formation to almost what looked like what we call a 5 dice. CC, you remember when we've talked about 5-on-3 before? they shift that kind of power play tactic to be what looks like a 5-head on the dice, where you have 2 guys kind of at the tops of the circles, 2 guys at the bottom of the circle, and then 1 guy kind of in that middle bumper role. And that's what you play when your power play is 5-on-3. But this is what the Thunderbirds were, at least it looked like they were trying to do 5-on-4 with 2 defensemen at the points, 2 guys at the bottom of the circle, and then 1 kind of net front bumper guy. Shockingly, this was not very effective and generated little because it's a strategy that works best 5v3. Because the difference in space, that penalty kill strategy, it doesn't work to really use it 5-on-4, as you have players occupying dead space where they can't be effective. They aren't going to be looked at for, cross ice one-timers or passing lanes. Where when you're 5-on-3, the difference in that structure makes this a much better power play. I have no idea why that kept creeping into their power play strategy, but there were definitely a few times where I saw like an intentional effort to make that work, and it was confusing and needs to hit the editing room floor immediately in their film sessions. Just like, forget we ever talked about that, guys. Go back to the 1-3-1. That worked. Whatever, 5 dice thing we were trying to do, that was not the place for it. I love innovation and power play tactics and stuff in general, but this didn't feel like innovation so much as miscommunication of when they were supposed to do that.
There is a difference for sure. Well, on Hartford's side of things, they gave Springfield all that they could handle in those 2 games, making big comebacks in both and following through on that comeback in the second game. The first one fell short. Obviously, they completed the other. What did Hartford do to rally in both of these games?
Well, it helps that they got Springfield to go into a defensive shell in the third period in both games, which made the T-Birds very much try to not lose those games as opposed to try and win them, which is always a stupid strategy in my mind. If playing the way you did got you this point to the third period with a lead, why fix what's not broken? This led to Hartford not having to worry about defense at all, basically, as Springfield didn't really try and press too much offense more than a random shift here and there. And even in those, they were largely trying to occupy time as opposed to actively score. Hartford then could just focus on getting offensive zone possessions and going to work, and that's exactly what they did. They did an excellent job of the third period of both games, sustaining pressure with a shoot and retrieve style of play, where they're, maybe starting with a point shot, but then getting on that rebound, winning that race, winning battles at the net front, winning them along the boards, getting those rebounds and starting the cycle up again. And in that kind of shifting chaos, finding shots from the slot, finding opportunities in front. I also really like that Hartford went with 5 forwards and 1D with the goalie pooled and stacked that line. They went Brodzinski, Gettinger, Greco, Fritz, Barron, and Reunanen. That's something more coaches ought to do. And while I'm surprised Chris Knobloch was one that pulled the trigger on that, he's one of the few that's done it, and that's worth mentioning and worth giving them some credit for. More teams should try and stack that 5-on or 6-on-4, 6-on-5 unit with, I would argue, 6 forwards, but 5 is an improvement over coaches playing 3 forwards, 1D, and then your extra guy is just a forward. The fact that they went 5 and 4 and clearly chose Raymond, and although I'm sure that would have been Zach Jones if he was in this game, sure. Very good thing for them. Another thing I noticed from Hartford is that they went after Sam Anis at every turn. I don't know if it was very effective in getting him off his game or disrupting him or just pissing him off. I still thought he did a good job of driving offense and creating scoring chances. His goal against Keith Kincaid was a display of higher end skill. Him just looking off Keith Kincaid, looking past and then rifling one past the blockade. But I could see in a 7-game playoff series how that could be something that by game 5 or 6, he's worn down a bit more than normal. Because at every time that he touched the puck, you could see Hartford actively trying to be physical with him. And yeah, it's easy to make it look like you're putting more physicality in it because he's a tiny dude and will go flying when a 6'1", 200-pound guy hits him. But it definitely felt like they were making a concise effort to put bodies on Sam Anis anytime he was on the ice. And mixed results, but I think in a larger sample, that could be a useful thing that Hartford does.
Talking individuals here, let's get to the player analysis portion of this segment. But is it Mackenzie McInerney? Is that how you pronounce it?
McEachern. Sean McEachern's nephew or son, I think.
Okay. It's another one of those names that I've always read but never spoken aloud. Mackenzie McEachern. Yeah, he had quite a game on Saturday. 5 points. he posted and had some quality looks on Sunday as well. Do you think McEachern has turned a corner and can be a top 6 AHL forward?
I feel like that's a bit of a loaded question. Yes, he had a great weekend, but let's not look past how those points went on the board. I know we're only supposed to ask how many and not how, but I'm that kind of annoying person. Someone flubbed on a shot that sprung him on a breakaway. A puck bounced off a defenseman and then off of his stick and into the nets. One assist was a second assist, which aren't predictive of future assists. Now, he played well, looked like he had some of that Wade Allison agent of chaos in his game, which I think we all like. But he doesn't have the skill set to be a sustainable offensive threat in the AHL, in my opinion. He's still a useful bottom 6 depth scorer who can kill penalties and bring energy and physicality to the lineup. Like I said, that Wade Allison from Lehigh Valley kind of mold of agent of chaos. But I don't think this is a light bulb moment for him where he can springboard this into a legit second line role. I think he got to play higher up in the lineup this week because, as we talked about ad nauseum earlier, on our preview episode, how many guys St. Louis has taken from Springfield. That's going to drive guys like Mackenzie McEachern up in a lineup where normally you wouldn't see them look so comfortable, but good for him for seizing the opportunity, but I would not expect him to hold on to it.
Shifting over, let's talk Cal Rosen, the former Toronto Marlies defenseman, former Colorado Eagles defenseman. He had a 3-point weekend. That's got to be a strong indictment. What did you see from him?
This is one of those perfect examples of the box score not telling the whole story. Points aren't everything. Yes, when you can put up 11 points in 16 games as a defenseman, I'm willing to cut you some slack in the defending aspect. But wow. Callie Rosen in the offensive zone was very good and was directly involved in a few goals. He did a great job of activating off the blue line at the right times and looked dangerous with the puck on his stick in the offensive zone. In the defensive zone or in transition, on the other hand, just awful, especially in transition defending his blue line, regularly giving forwards a country mile of personal space entering the zone instead of being on top of them like Hollywood rebooting 90s movies. And while his offensive abilities are great, he's going to need to make more defensive stops to keep the scales tilted in his favor. His defense has been a criticism since he was a Toronto Marley the first time, and at 27, I'm not expecting leaps forward for him, but some focus on defensive improvement is warranted here, especially on his gap control. And I'm not totally sure if that's a problem of him identifying where he's supposed to be in transition and having a tighter gap, or if it's because his defensive skating is bad and he's getting on his heels too much. And that's what's causing him to have to give that kind of gap, which is what you see from guys like Seth Jones at the NHL level. But that needs to improve, or he needs to put up a lot more points for me to kind of look the other way in that case, because he was bad in both of those aspects over the weekend. Despite the fact that he scored 3 points, I'd say he was somewhere near a net neutral effect on the game.
Gotcha. Well, we talked about in the preview that Hartford's stacked top 6 was what drove their offense. Of all the points scored by Hartford skaters against Springfield this weekend, you had Barron, you had Gettinger, Brodzinski, Greco. They were 13 of them. The rest of the team combined for 8. What did you see from those 4 this weekend, Sean?
Geez, just going right for the big questions. All right. Well, Barron continues to impress me as a high-end garbage man in the AHL. He does a good job getting on rebounds and winning battles in high danger areas. While his skating is improved, I think it ultimately holds him back from being more than a third liner on the Rangers in the future, despite the fact that he has the shooting talent and some defensive capabilities. Still, the Hartford power play continues to click because he's such a threat in the bumper role. He has gravity where teams have to account for him, and that leaves other options open because of how he pulls defenders to him out of the respect for his ability. That third goal the Wolfpack scored on Saturday was an example of it. The passing lane from Greco to Johnny B. Good was open because both McGing and Stevens were protecting the lane to Barron in the high slot. That gravity opened up another passing lane because he just pulls defenders to him, because teams know what he can do when you put the puck on his stick in those areas. Those are almost always goals. Gettinger, his biggest knock on him was the one you see from a lot of guys who get nicknamed the Tower. And it's his skating. And it's such a common area of weakness from big guys. Same for Radim Zahorna in Wilkes-Barre Scranton, Buddy Robinson in San Diego. And it's for obvious reasons. getting a frame that large moving fast is difficult. Mack trucks don't get to 100 miles an hour easily. However, I think his skating has taken steps forward and has improved a good bits. I still wouldn't call it good overall, but progress is encouraging, and it helps him round out what is already a pretty good game for a dude his size who's not overly physical, or I don't want to say he's not strong, but for a guy that's as big as he is, you would expect a little more strength. He has solid puck skills in tight, can shoot well, finds, soft ice very well, understands that role that he plays at the net front and behind the net at a high level. And that's adding more to his skating is only going to make him a bigger asset and a bigger threat overall on the ice. Johnny Be Good looked like his moniker implies. Good. I said time and time again that wearing a letter on your chest doesn't make you a leader or even the leader on a team. But Hartford 100% got it right this time, though, as Brodzinski is the captain of this team. And he leads by example. In the offensive zone, it seems like he's everywhere. And that's not because he's super speedy or is, an AHLer that doesn't belong in this league. It's because he just has a motor that runs at 100% all the time. He has great off-puck instincts, too, and positions himself into passing lanes like he did with Greco on that OV one-timer that he scored. He's also been more of a scorer than a playmaker, but I think he's done a better job of setting up the talent around him than he has in past seasons in the AHL. His career high in assists is 22. He already has 12 this season and is on pace to smash that personal best. Lastly, I think Anthony Greco looks reborn, but in a similar but still distinct version compared to the Springfield Anthony Greco that we saw. He still has the speed and edge work and uses it, although I definitely think it's starting to come down a little bit from where he was even a few years ago. He's still fast and can, make cuts that other guys this league can't, but I don't think if we put him in the fastest lap competition, he'd be breaking McDavid records anymore. But he has developed more aspects of his game to become a bit better rounded. He's still a shoot first kind of guy, but he can make plays and looks for teammates in space. His career high in assists is 29. He has 14 this season. He's on pace to break that. I don't think he ever hits the 30-goal benchmark again, but 20 is certainly in the realm of possibility if he gets a bit better shooting luck.
Well, looking forward for both of these teams to kind of wrap up this portion of this Atlantic Division series that was this past weekend. We're heading into Christmas. There's going to be that Christmas break. So for both Hartford and Springfield, where do both teams go from here, and what do they have to look forward to on the horizon?
Hartford is off until New Year's weekend, where it heads to Bridgeport, then hosts Providence for its last game of 2021. Hopefully we hear some updates on Zach Jones, who is absent from both of these games. I doubt we will, because the AHL treats injury information like Gollum treats the One Ring, but here's hoping. Springfield is also off until the 28th, where they head to Bridgeport to then take Utica at home. St. Louis has already recalled Kostin. He was never going to be there for very long, but sent back Torpchenko and Pekka, so that's a good sign that the T-Birds will be fielding an actual AHL roster top to bottom soon. Hopefully, with the NHL taking an extended break for the holidays here due to a lot of COVID cases, that will hopefully give everyone time to kind of get their roster in order. Here's hoping. And that Springfield, while they're never going to get the Scott Perunovich Pain Tour started again, that they can at least get, some of their other parts of their roster back in order. Hopefully Nathan Todd makes a reappearance, as he's a big part of that team. But I think there's reason to be hopeful for both teams looking forward into the new year.
Talking about that Pain Tour, Scott Perunovich, he was a headliner at the AHL level, if you're talking, the musical act allegory. But now that he's up with St. Louis, he's down the card a little bit, as it were, maybe a second act or a third act, as opposed to some of the other headliners there in St. Louis. But that's just kind of go ahead.
Oh yeah, but give him time. He's a child still, basically.
Sure.
I think after a little bit more seasoning, which I still think he belongs in the NHL at this point, but they're putting him out there in scenarios. He's getting some power play time. He was on their 3-on-3 overtime the other night, so he's clearly getting the opportunity, and the coaching staff there knows that he can do some magic things with the puck. But that kid has a bright future. I remember after about a week in the AHL, it's like St. Louis thinks they have 6 or 7 better defensemen than him. They might not have 4.
I remember you saying that. Yeah. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on him and see how he progresses and improves and just continues to develop his game up there with the Blues. Alrighty, well, we're going to take a quick break. After this brief little respite, we're going to get to Rockford and Texas in the Central Division. If you're just here for Springfield and Hartford, though, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to us from so you can get episodes in a timely fashion. Also, check us out on social media, links to our social media, as well as links to our YouTube channel and popular podcast links. Google, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, they are all on our Linktree page. That's linktr.ee/the Calder Farmstead. That is linktr.ee/the Calder Farmstead. Go check it out. Follow, subscribe, leave comments. We respond. We're a very responsive podcast, I would like to think. So anyway, we're going to go pay some bills, run some ads, and after that, we'll be right back. Okay, well, we were going to cover the Belleville Senators in the North Division, but alas, both of those games, Syracuse and Providence, were canceled this past weekend. Canada really clamping down on some of not just league COVID-19 protocols, but provincial, national. Canada's kind of inching back towards clamping down on some stuff, but I digress. Belleville, we are not going to be covering them because they didn't play any games this weekend, but we're going to jump over and just go to the next series on deck, which is Rockford and Texas over there in the Central Division. And Sean, as always, going to talk goals, going to talk how Friday and Saturday's matchups went for the Ice Hogs and the Stars. After you, my friend.
All right, Friday night, Ben Gleason comes down off the point to try and keep a puck in the zone. Neither Frederick nor Karlstrom nor Joel Lesperance picks up Dylan McLaughlin, who makes a beeline out of the zone. Nicholas Baudin finds him on the stretch pass for a breakaway for McLaughlin. He races in and snipes one past Dobby's 5-hole. 1-0 Ice Hogs with 13 minutes left in the first exactly. Less than a minute later, Ty Dellandrea makes a risky play circling to the top of the offensive zone. It's risky because if you lose the puck or get a shot blocked, it can spring the defending team the other way. That's exactly what happens as Dellandrea's shot is blocked by Ian Mitchell and Rockford goes 3-on-2 the other way. Isaac Phillips finds Alex Nylander across Royal Road on the rush, and Dobby misreads the release and gets beat low blocker side. 2-0 Ice Hogs with 12:30 left in the first period. Off an ugly zone exit, Riley Damiani gains control of his zone entry and goes 1-on-2. He undresses Nicholas Baudin, but back pressure from the Ice Hogs back check forces the puck back to Curtis McKenzie. McKenzie finds Ben Gleason open at the faceoff dot. Gleason dances around Cameron Morrison and fires a wrister over the blocker of Delia, and the Teddy Bears come raining down. 2-1 Ice Hogs with 11:05 left in the first period. With the goalie pulled, Riley Shea rips a shot on goal from the half wall. Delia makes the save and kicks the puck behind the net. Curtis McKenzie scoops it up and looks to pass to Damiani in the slot. His pass sails through the zone and goes all the way down into the empty net. Colin Delia is the last Rockford player to touch the puck, and we have a goalie goal. 3-1 Ice Hogs, and that will seal it. Saturday, Rockford tries to start the breakout off a defensive zone faceoff win. Michael Tepley can't hand the rim around at the half wall from his defenseman. Texas gets the turnover, and Josh Melnick takes possession of the loose puck near the blue line with speed, flies right into the slot. He fires a backhander that hits Nicholas Baudin and deflects right to Curtis McKenzie. McKenzie buries the lucky bounce, and it's 1-0 Stars with 17:32 left in the second period. A stretch pass from Brian Shea goes goal line to far blue line and finds Joe Lesperance. Lesperance gains the zone and has a rush chance. Lesperance sauces a backhand pass trying to find Josh Melnick, but it deflects off Isaac Phillips and goes right to Curtis McKenzie again. Curtis McKenzie snaps home the rebound. 2-0 Stars with 1:05 left in the second period. Oscar back circles behind the net after recovering a rebound. He circles in front, loses control of the puck for a second to Andre Altabarmakian, but back recovers it and passes it across to Ryan Shea, who activates off the blue line, drives to the net. Shea tries to make a quick cut into the slot, loses control, but Ty Fallhaber Out positions Ryan Stanton at the net front and bangs home the loose puck. 3-0 Texas with 10:50 left in the third period. Off an extended possession in the offensive zone, Lucas Reichel gloves the puck down out of the air. Reichel puts his shoulder down and drives to the net. Alex Petrovic knocks it off his stick, but it bounces to Mike Hardman, and he slams it home. 3-1 Stars with 5:56 left in the third. Rockford pulls the goalie during a power play to go 6-on-4. Lucas Reichel works the puck in the corner. He plays catch with Wyatt Kalynuk at the point. Kalynuk pulls Josh Melnick to him before returning the pass. With time and space, Reichel risks a rocket high blocker that beats Khudobin 3-2 Stars with 2:35 left in the third. Rockford cannot tie it, though, and that is your final. They split the weekend. Rockford on Friday, Texas on Saturday.
That sounds familiar. Going back to the picks here, because lo and behold, I chose the Ice Hogs on Friday and the Stars on Saturday. Not to boast or anything, but or toot my own horn, but maybe a little beep, 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 toot, toot. Anyway, Sean, you said Texas has been a mess, but Dobby is legit and has to step up, right? You took the split and said Rockford wins whatever game Dobby doesn't start.
He started both.
Yes.
So I guess I take, I don't really know how that works out. I guess I didn't think of that alternative because I figured he wouldn't start both and was wrong.
Let's see.
So
if Rockford wins whatever game Dobby doesn't start, then what would be the alternative of that? My brain's a little fried right now.
I didn't come up with one. So I guess that makes my pick invalid and I lose both. That seems legit.
Well, I mean, so if Rockford win, I guess there is no alternative. That's very strange.
Yeah.
It kind of, nullifies it. But anyway, the model said it was pretty high on Texas. Texas, a 57.1% favorite in both of these games. And Rockford sneaking one by in that first one with the goalie goal, a bizarre goalie goal, of course, because you didn't see Colin Delia, do the Ron Heck style, shoot it down the ice or anything like that. But anyway, we talked about Texas defending the home plate area as something that they needed to do after giving up an insane number of shots from there in the last few games. Those figures were a bit mind-boggling when you presented those. What did you see from Texas in that aspect? Did they improve? Did they shore that up?
If my memory serves me correctly, we said they were giving up 22.6 per game over their last 5. They
right.
Gave up 21 on Friday and 19 on Saturday. So I guess that's improvement.
A little bit.
From an eye test perspective, I thought they did a better job in the zone, but I wouldn't call it good. In the zone, the only line that was really not on board with defending the house plan was the Damiani Lewis Dellandrea line. They were awful. A lot of lazy play on the wall. Poor job cutting off passing lanes to the point where when the puck was low in the zone, they were not cutting off the top. They lost puck battles all over the place. They got pinned in their own zone several times by Rockford across the weekend because of it. But overall, it wasn't god-awful in the zone for Texas. I don't think that's where the majority of their breakdowns for Texas happened, though, that caused a lot of these shots.
Gotcha. So where did those breakdowns happen for Texas?
Off the rush. A lot of bad gap control, a few blown assignments on the forecheck or in transition, a lot of moments where the Stars defense couldn't make a good first pass and made turnovers in the defensive zone. Anton Khudobin made a lot of saves on rush chances. Breakaways, 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, really kept Texas in both of these games. And that's not to say that Rockford was amazing in transition. On Friday, Texas basically flew right through the neutral zone with little resistance. The problem was that the Stars couldn't sustain any offense in the Rockford zone. They'd get a shot on goal, and that would be it. Rockford would recover it and get a zone exits. On Saturday, I thought it was pretty back and forth, but not a lot of forechecking effectiveness in the neutral zone in that game.
So on the Rockford side of things, let's hop on over to the Ice Hogs. You praised their total team effort in being able to get the job done with Soderblom out. Did that carry over to this game?
Somewhat. I don't think anyone stood out on the Ice Hogs in a negative way, but it seemed like Lucas Reichel carried the team a bit more than I remember seeing in previous games. But you saw all four lines over the weekend look ready to roll, and all of them had their moments. The biggest difference between the games for Rockford was that on Friday, when Texas made mistakes, Rockford immediately took advantage, pressed, created scoring chances, and put pucks in the back of the net. On Saturday, when Texas made mistakes, Rockford seemed unable to capitalize. Basically, on Friday, when Texas gave them an inch, Rockford took a mile. On Saturday, they couldn't get more than the inch on most cases. They also got great goaltending from Delia and Soderblom in both games. I thought Soderblom played really well, where two goofy bounces go right to Curtis McKenzie with an open net, neither of which were Soderblom's fault. They hit things in front of him and gave a wide open net to somebody. There's nothing you can really do there. I still think Rockford is going to go as far as Soderblom and the goaltending can take them, but there's enough around them to get the job done if Soderblom continues to perform at this high level.
We're starting to talk about individual skaters here, so let's just keep it going. You mentioned Lucas Reichel carrying the offense for Rockford. Let's dive a little deeper into him and talk about what you saw from him this series.
I thought he did a good job of working the puck in tight quarters, finding soft ice. As we said earlier, the Ice Hogs really helped. He really helped drive play in the offensive zone, especially in Saturday's game. That's good, as one of the big concerns about him was not his playmaking or vision or puck skills. It was overhandling the puck. Trying to do too much too often and trying to play, 4D chess when he just needed to play checkers. He looked dialed in and was very effective, which is a big deal, as the Ice Hogs don't have a lot of high-end talent and rely kind of on a lot of good players instead of one great player. Getting Greco to drive play without players who can match his skill level is a very good thing. That, and he seems to be developing well and maturing. It's another big check mark for the Ice Hogs in moving forward.
Speaking of Ice Hog, let's keep her going. Anyone else stand out to you for Rockford, either in a positive or a negative way?
Nicholas Bodin and Alec Regula, definitely for negative reasons. Both are more offensive-minded players, and while they can move the puck, their ability to defend their blue line and make plays in transition on both offense and defense was very concerning. Maybe this is just a bad weekend for them both, but I saw enough there to be concerned about that aspect for their games and how it projects to the next level. Last but not least, Arvid Soderblom, absolutely impressed. He is as advertised. Like we said before, it took two bounces that weren't his fault to score on him. His resume in North America is obviously still in its infancy, but it looks like Chicago might have something here in an undrafted free agent.
Jump on over to the Texas side, and obviously with Ben Bishop retiring, the goalie shuffle around the Dallas and Texas Stars ended up with Anton Khudobin down with the Texas Stars. And what did you see from Dobby this past weekend?
I thought he looked out of sorts in the first period on Friday. Maybe he wasn't quite settled, or the difference between the speed of the NHL and the AHL had his timing off. But he definitely looked like he was fighting pucks in the first period for Friday's game. Alex Nylander's goal, where he misread the release, he was clearly going low glove side, and the puck goes low blocker side. And you can see that reaction as he's trying to make the save and doesn't. But that was it. The next 5 periods, he looked dialed in. He basically got into a goaltender's duel in both games with Delia and then with Soderblom, and just traded big saves back and forth. I don't know how long he's going to be in Cedar Park for, but he should be a big help in getting Texas in the win column going forward, especially if he is as dialed in as he was for the other 5 periods of the weekend outside of the opening one.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Dallas, the organization, you really got a choice between Jake Ottinger and Anton Khudobin being your starter down there with the Texas Stars. And with Ottinger and his improvements that he's made, I mean, Braden Holtby, I would imagine is going to be your number one for Dallas. I mean, not to talk about the goalie depth chart too much here, but
I think, now that Khudobin's down in Texas, he's going to be kind of like an Evander Kane thing, but less of an asshole, where he's having a tryout basically for trade offers. I have no idea why the Buffalo Sabres didn't claim him outright. They have $14 million in cap space and need anything good on their roster. So the fact they might have gotten a useful goaltender is something I would have thought they would have pounced on, but the Sabres doing smart things is, a coin flip. But no, I think Otter and Holtby are basically going to be a 1-2 or a 1A, 1B for Dallas the rest of the year. I don't imagine that Holtby, I think he only signed a 1-year deal. I can't imagine I think he'll probably go at the trade deadline, and that'll pull Dobby back up, or both go at the trade deadline and Ottinger and God knows what else goes, because Shield is not ready for that look as an NHL backup.
Neither is Colton Point.
That's not an improvement, CC. Colton Point's an ECHL goaltender. But
I'm just trying to think of goalies in the system here. You're running out if you trade guys.
I mean, I think they're going to trade at least one of Holtby or Hudobin, if not both, just because Hudobin is going to be 36 next year on a 1-year deal. Like, what are you hoping for from him if he wasn't good this year? Holtby's on a 1-year deal and has looked very usable. Some team will take him for something. Ottinger is clearly your goalie of the future, and I think could be a competent starter in the NHL. I don't think he's ever going to be in Vezina contention or anything like that, but he should still be a usable starting goaltender in the NHL. So I think it's going to be him and Holtby for now, and I imagine that Hudobin will be kind of on this trade me tryout with Texas for as long as they don't have any serious offers for him.
Shifting out of net, let's talk about the skaters for the Texas Stars. Anyone else leave an impression on you this weekend from Cedar Park?
Yes. We've talked about how much nonsense it is when coaches try to get their high-end offensive players to become 200-foot guys and sell it as a necessary part of being an NHL player or whatever. And that's silly. Patrick Kane hasn't played a second of meaningful defense in his entire career. Neither has Ovechkin or Draisaitl or Blake Wheeler. The difference is they're all high-end offensive players. Riley Damiani has 18 points in 23 games this season. Anthony Lewis has 14 in 20. Ty Dellandre has 12 in 20. That isn't high-end offensive production. That line got caved in 5-on-5 and just bled scoring chances that were directly attributable to those three poor defensive play of those three. Words. Texas plays a man-to-man system when the puck is above the face-off dots in the defensive zone, and then plays a 5 inside home plate, otherwise known as a 5 tight, when the puck is below the dots. That's how a lot of teams structure their defense. But man-to-man means your forwards are directly responsible for covering another player. The inside 5 home plate strategy, those wingers are responsible for cutting off the passing lanes from down low to the points. Both of those schemes require forwards to have defensive competency to some extent. So Damiani, Lewis, and Dellandre's poor defensive play is really highlighted, especially because it's all three of them on the same line together. If it were just one of them and the rest of their line was playing solid defense, you can kind of hide that or get away with it. But you can't do that when it's all three of you. So either they need to get busy putting up high-end offensive production, or they need to get busy playing defense. You cannot skip out on both.
Right. Well, looking forward again, as we mentioned, with Springfield and Hartford and pretty much with the whole AHL, we're heading into Christmas break. We're going to be looking forward to our Christmas episode coming up here in the next couple days. So Texas has undertaken Milwaukee as the bottom dweller in the Central Division currently. And Rockford is currently third. I mean, it's a close race there in the middle, but as of this moment, Rockford's currently third in the Central Division. What do the Stars and the Ice Hogs have to look forward to after we, get through this Christmas break?
Well, Texas was supposed to go to Manitoba, which is a hell of a travel schedule, but those games are postponed, and the next one they have scheduled is a Friday-Saturday series with Charlotte on New Year's. So they have a significant chunk of time off, so that hopefully gives them ample opportunity to polish out some of these defensive problems in practice and get rested for the long grind left of the regular season. Rockford has a game against Milwaukee before the Christmas break. I don't know if that's been postponed yet or not. But Milwaukee looks to have gotten all of its call-ups back from Nashville, so they won't be the same skeleton crew that befit their mascot that got swept by Chicago. I'm not convinced that Rockford is more than a slightly below-average team propped up by high-quality goaltending, but there's a lot of season left to prove me wrong. and a lot of chances for them to say that they are, in fact, more than that.
And actually, as of we're recording, that game is going on. And it looks like a bit of a barn burner. And I'm being sarcastic because less than 4 minutes left in the second period. 0-0. Goose eggs on the board for Milwaukee and Rockford. So there's that. But anyway, all right. Well, that's it for the Central Division, the series there. We are going to take our last break of the evening. And after that, we're going to get to Abbotsford and Henderson, our Pacific Division weekend that was recap. If you are just here for Texas and Rockford, of course, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to us from so you get episodes in a timely fashion. Also, check us out on social media. Links to our social media as well as our YouTube channel and popular podcast links can be found on our Linktree page at linktr.ee/the Calder Farmstead. Once again, link Tango Romeo .echo /the Calder Farmstead. We're going to go into the ether for just a moment. We're going to have our advertisers help pay us, bills to keep the lights on and to keep those fishing rigs going for Sean there. And we'll be right back. Okay, our last weekend that was series preview. We're going to be talking about the Abbotsford Canucks and the Henderson Silver Knights. Sean, we've got some goals to recap, and I think you're the man to do it. Take it away.
All right. Saturday on the power play, Sheldon Dries picks up a rebound off a Klimovich shot attempt. Dries works up the half wall. He draws 2 Knights penalty killers to him before dishing to Adam Brubaker at the point. This leaves Justin Bailey alone in the slot, and he prepares from a tip from a Brubaker shot. Brubaker obliges, and Bailey gets the tip that beats Logan Thompson. 1-0 Canucks with 15:23 left in the second period. On a 4-on-3 power play, Jack Dugan and Danil Miromanov play catch between the point and half wall as Abbotsford settles into their 3-man wedge. Dugan walks off the half wall and collapses the Canucks penalty killers before dishing it back to Miromanov at the point. Miromanov gets to the top of the circles before dishing it back to Dugan, who does his best Ovechkin impression and one-times a missile past Spencer Martin. Tie game at 1 with 16:44 left in the third. On the ensuing 4-on-4, Jake Lecision gets a 3-on-2 rush attempt and takes a shot that hits off the crossbar, but Peter Delabatore can't control the rebound at the point, and Justin Bailey is off to the races on a breakaway the other way. Bailey fakes the shot, then goes backhand, forehand, and tucks it far side on Logan Thompson for the goal. 2-1 Abbotsford with 15:28 left in the third period. On a power play late in the third period, Jonas Ronbjorg puts a backdoor attempt for Jake Lecision just a little bit too far, but it gets picked up by Jack Duggan on the half wall. Duggan plays it to the point for Miromanov, who wrists one through traffic. Jake Lecision doesn't miss the tip this time and gets a stick on it that tips it past Spencer Martin, tied at 2 with 4:54 left in the third period. After successful penalty kill by the Knights in overtime, we are 4-on-4. Devontae Stevens rips a backhand off a rush chance that Thompson saves. The rebound is scooped up behind the net by Will Lockwood. Lockwood dips through traffic in the corner before finding Sheldon Dries in the slot. Dries fires a one-timer that Logan Thompson gets a pat on, but Lockwood wins the race against Braden Paschal and bangs it home. 3-2 Canucks in overtime. Sunday, at the end of an uninspiring effort on a 5-on-3 power play, Derek Pouliot's pass attempt in the slot hits Cameron Schilling in the skate and is picked off by Nick Patan. Patan finds John Stevens fresh out of the penalty box and hits him with a stretch pass that springs him for a breakaway. Stevens goes to the backhand but tucks it 5-0 instead of far side, and it gets through Logan Thompson's legs. 1-0 Canucks with 10:41 left in the first period. Ian McCoshen gets the puck at the point after a puck battle is won inside the Abbotsford zone by Henderson. McCoshen tries to play it across to Braden Paschal, but the pass gets broken up and goes behind the net. Jack Duggan tries to recover it, but is double-teamed by Canucks, and it's taken by Will Lockwood. Lockwood is bumped off the puck by Jake Lecision, and Duggan pokes to Jonas Ronbjorg, who walks right into the slot and fires it low blocker side past Mikey DiPietro. The Teddies come raining down. Tie game at 1 with 3:53 left in the first period. On the power play, Ben Jones carries the puck into the offensive zone before rimming it around the boards. Cameron Schilling gets a stick on it, but can't stop it before it gets past him. It gets to Derek Pouliot, who passes to Paul Cotter at the top of the circle. Cutter rips a wrist shot that just beats Mikey DiPietro under the blocker. 2-1 Silver Knights with 18:04 left in the third. Ben Jones hits the empty net, and that seals it for Henderson. 3-1 is your final.
All right, let's go to the picks, and we actually had our good friend from AHL Nux Harvest and the Creasecast podcast, Cody Sievertson. He chimed in and gave us some picks after previewing the weekend for these two teams. Cody said Henderson 3-2 in that first game, 4-0 shutout in that second game, and the first game went to Abbotsford, second game went to Henderson, and again, I chose correctly. Abbotsford on Saturday, Henderson on Sunday. Don't ask me where I picked up this clairvoyance at, because I have no idea. Sean, you said losing Brisbois, Di Giuseppe, and Juleson hurts, but you thought that the wear and tear of 6 games in 10 days rather hits Henderson. 6 games in 10 days hit Henderson. You were going to take Henderson Saturday and Abbotsford on Sunday, and that was reversed. So, and the model, 51% Henderson favorite, so it could have gone either way. So, I think either one of our picks, could have been accurate either way. But let's dive in. Let's talk team level takeaways here. The special teams are certainly a big factor in this weekend, as only one 5v5 goal was scored across both games, 23 power play opportunities being doled out across both of these matchups. Hell, let's start with the Silver Knights. What did you see from their special teams and the glut of opportunities, I guess from both teams, but particularly for the Silver Knights?
Well, Henderson's penalty kill was by and large what we described in the weekend preview. Aggressive, and its biggest strength was defending its blue line and keeping teams from ever entering their offensive zone, or entering their defensive zone, and that's just what they did. They broke up a ton of zone entries by the Canucks by forcing them to try and carry the puck through pressure, and the Silver Knights repeatedly stood up at the line and broke up the play. A lot of other AHL teams don't have penalty killers that have the poise to make those blue line stands, and will instead back off, give the puck carrier some cushion because they're afraid of getting torched. I have yet to see Henderson get burnt like that on the PK, and not only should they keep being aggressive at the blue line, more teams should adopt that philosophy, which I've been preaching since we started this podcast. Good on Jamie Heward and or Joel Ward, whichever one runs the PK, and good on the Silver Knights for having the poise to stand their ground. In the zone, the Silver Knights are still very aggressive and occasionally get caught over pursuing. That's some of what happened on the Justin Bailey power play goal. It's something that we also talked about in the preview, and I think needs to get cleaned up a little bit. They dial it up to an 11 with the aggressive pursuit of the puck in zone, and I think it needs to be an 8, as they still have guys trying to double team the puck carrier, and that's going to leave too much time and space when it fails for the rest of the team. I'm a risk taker as a coach, but that's too much even for me. The biggest problem for the PK was the frequency in which Henderson took penalties and when they took penalties. They had way too many offensive zone penalties that killed offensive zone time and killed any momentum that they had gained. This is a repeat story for the game on them and in the first game that they played. On the power play, Henderson didn't make that tactical shift from their 5v4 power play to a 5v3 power play, which was odd and probably explains why they didn't generate a lot and certainly didn't score. The rest of their power play, though, I thought looked pretty good, but they couldn't get scoring chances to become goals. And I say this knowing they scored 3 power play goals on the weekend, but I certainly think they could have had more. I like Dorofeev getting looks as the bumper, but I still think he's a better option in the kind of Ovi-style one-timer at the half wall. But other than that, I thought their special teams looked pretty good. I liked the zone entry plays that they used, building speed throughout the neutral zone. I liked kind of the formation they used outside of that 5v3 where they went 1-3-1 instead of the 5 tight like we talked about Springfield messing up. So I liked a lot from what I saw from Henderson on that.
Let's go to the other side of things. Let's talk Abbotsford. What did you think of their special teams this weekend?
Well, when they got into the zone and set up, I thought their power play was okay-ish. They had a few chances, but were largely ineffective because of the Silver Knights penalty kill. The bigger point is that they didn't make a lot of adjustments, or didn't look to me like they made a lot of adjustments, despite, in the first game getting absolutely nothing going on the power play for the most part. They got one good tip, but they made no adjustments in terms of zone entry plays or trying to mix it up a little bit. At least something that would make their zone entry plays, fail less often, I think would have been good. But not a lot of shifts that they did seem to move the needle and actually help the power play. And some of that, yes, is limited by what you can accomplish on a whiteboard during intermissions and so on. Trotting out an entirely new strategy on the power play that you've never practiced is almost assuredly a recipe for disaster. Still, I'd have liked to have seen something more from the staff here, even if it was shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic. Show me that you were at least trying to do something instead of just watching it fail over and over and saying, well, we'll get them next time. On the penalty kill, there was always going to be the limiting factor of playing 5 defensemen in both games, 3 of which combined for 17 games of AHL experience heading into the weekend. So asking them to do a ton of heavy lifting on the PK was going to be problematic and lead to a lot of errors on penalty kill. Still, a 75% penalty kill on the weekend from that group of defensemen isn't as awful as it may sound. Most of the mistakes, though, from the penalty kill look to come from forwards, in my view. So perhaps they were trying to compensate for, the inexperience behind them and weren't sealing their passing lanes, or were making the mistakes straight out of their own accord. It's a little tough to tell with something that's as interchangeable as a penalty kill in terms of how the positions interact with each other. I thought their first forechecker on the PK also did a very poor job steering puck carriers into the wall and defending the middle lane in the neutral zone. That's something they need to clean up in Abbotsford. So that penalty kill, a little bit handcuffed by who they were able to put out on the ice, but still improvements and tweaks need to be made.
Let's go to the skater side of things, individual skaters, player analysis. For Henderson, did anyone stand out to you positively or negatively? I'm thinking of one person in particular here.
I mean, I'd say that Jonas Rondbjerg did. After an injury took him out of action for the full season in 1920 and just an okay 2021, where he graded as a 4th line forward in the model, he was not on the minds of most people when they thought under 23-year-old Vegas drafted prospect. But he's taken leaps forward this season, which is what you want to see out of your 22-year-old prospects. He's always had the high motor and hockey IQ, but seemed to lack the puck skills and an offensively threatening skill set that would make him an NHL talent. That's not been the case this season, and his offensive skill set has been on display, and a big reason he's gotten more games in Vegas than in Henderson so far this season. His offensive game is maturing, and it's building on a good foundation of hockey IQ and solid work ethic.
All right, let's jump on over the aisle and we'll talk about the Abbotsford side of things. Anybody that you've got your eye on over there, who stuck out to you, again, positively or negatively?
Well, on the Abbotsford side, well, he gives you almost no offense. Alex Canuck-Leipert was solid defensively, getting into a lot of shooting lanes, blocking a bunch of shots, including one sure goal. He broke up some dangerous plays while he was on the ice. He's not someone that's going to show up on the score sheet often, and isn't good in the offensive zone. Case in point, he fumbled a puck on his offensive blue line that sprung a Pavel Dorofeev breakaway, which it's not great. But I thought he gave the Abbey Nucks some good defensive value in this game. On the negative side, Carson Falk has become a member of our running series here of Side of a Milk Carton. I thought he was a healthy scratch for half the game until I saw 19 in green on the ice and was shocked. Although I guess I shouldn't be shocked, as he's gotten 2 points in his last 14 games and has been absent from the score sheet in 8 straight at the AHL level. I don't know if he needs some press box time or something, but he looks like he's on the fast track back to the ECHL this season, where he also wasn't very impressive.
Not good. Well, looking forward, as I've mentioned time and again, we're entering the Christmas break. What have you got for these two teams looking forward?
Well, Henderson is off the week until the week of New Year's Eve, where they do have a 3-4 in 3 cities against San Diego, Ontario, and Bakersfield in that order. That's a brutal return from holiday break, but hopefully that rest will give them fresh legs and recovery time. Also, our love to Manny Vivros, who is recovering from his cancer surgery. We hope that goes very well. That Bakersfield game, though, will be especially rough and probably almost is a certain scheduled loss. because that will be their third game in 4 days, and it will be Bakersfield's first of the weekend. So that's probably going to be a challenge for them. Abbotsford had their Christmas weekend series against Tucson postponed. So they're off into a Thursday-Friday series on the 30th and 31st in a cross-division game against the Moose. Manitoba is going to be fresh as they had games postponed and will have been off for about 2 weeks heading into that game. So we should see two teams in that all-Canada affair that will be as close to fully rested as they probably could be.
All righty. Well, I guess we're 3 out of 4 ain't bad, especially with league COVID-19 protocols happening, especially north of the border. So that'll do it for our weekend that was previews, but we've got one more segment coming up. And until we get there, Sean, take us into the break, shall you?
Yeah, we're going to take a break here. And after the break, we will get to the cream of the crop, the best players of the weekend. If you're just here for Abbotsford and Henderson, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to us from, so you get episodes like our previews, our Christmas episode coming up in a timely fashion. Also, make sure you check us out on social media. Links to our social media, as well as links to our YouTube channel and popular podcast links, can be found on our Linktree page at linktr.ee/The Calder Farmstead. We're going to pay some bills. We'll be right back.
All right, kids and kiddos, space is the place and the time. It's the sky's the limit because Sandy Claus is coming to town. Oh, yeah. Talking about Macho Claus, Sandy Macho Man Claus. I don't know what I'm saying. It's time for the cream of the crop. We got our 3 best players of the weekend. And Sean, you're going to hit it out of the park. You're going first. Intercontinental champion for 1,000 years running. Oh, yeah.
My first cream of the crop is Double Mac. Mackenzie McEachern, Springfield Thunderbirds, tied a Thunderbirds team record with 5 points on Saturday's game against the Wolfpack. 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points. A hat trick with goals at different strengths. 1 5v5, 1 5v4, 1 6v5. That's good enough for a cream of the crop here. Double Mac Mackenzie McEachern is my first cream of the crop. Cece, who is yours?
Well, I hope you like Swedish meatballs, because my first cream of the crop is going to be Utica's Fabian Zetterlund. Oh, yeah. He had a goal in the third period with just 38 seconds left to tie the game. You want to talk about the clutch gene? Then he had an overtime goal just a minute in to seal the comeback for the Comets' victory 3-2. Fabian Zetterlund, the lonely Swedish. Oh, yeah, my first cream of the crop.
For me, my second is TJ Tynan, Ontario Reign. He had 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points on the weekend. Only 3 of those were primary points, but a 6-point weekend is a 6-point weekend. That's going to get you a spot on the cream of the crop, regardless of how they go in. TJ Tynan from the Ontario Reign is my second cream of the crop.
My second cream of the crop is actually a double dip. You can call them the Mega Powers because they exploded against San Diego for the Bakersfield Condors. Devin Brasseur, 2 goals, 2 assists, and Raphael Lavoie, 2 goals and 3 assists in the Condors' 5-1 win over San Diego on Friday. I couldn't just pick one. Give them the tag team belts. My second, you double dip them. Brasseur, Lavoie. Ooh, yeah.
My third and final cream of the crop, I mean, this was a no-brainer once it happened. Colin Delia, Rockford Ice Hogs. Stopped 24-25, which ain't too shabby, but he got a goalie goal. I don't care how it went in. When you're a goalie and you get credit for scoring a goal, you're the cream of the crop for the week. There are no questions asked. That's a golden buzzer on this show. Goalie goal, Colin Delia, cream of the crop.
Kind of a big Delia, getting some big cheese there with some cream of the crop dairy. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But my third cream of the crop, oh, yeah, it's going to be Rochester's Michael Marsh. 2 goals and 3 assists in helping the Amherst 4-3 over Lehigh Valley in a shootout on Saturday and 4-3 over Hershey on Sunday. Oh, I hope he was liking some chocolate. Some ghost chocolate with the Phantoms. I don't even know what that is, but hey, that's what Macho Madness is all about. Michael Marsh, Rochester Americans, my final cream of the crop for the weekend that was. Oh, yeah.
All right. We're out of the madness. We're out of the macho madness. We're good. Okay. Well, I suppose that's it for the show. And episode number 70 is in the books, or pert near, as they say in my native land of Idaho. Thank you for watching and or listening. The Calder Farmstead is part of the Full Press Radio Network. You can listen to this and several other great hockey, sports, and pro wrestling / sports entertainment programs at fullpresscoverage.com. Just listen to the podcast, or sorry, just click the podcast drop-down menu in the top right portion of the website. That's the big list populating, and enjoy. And of course, with all that wonderful programming, thank you for taking time out to enjoy this, or at least listen to it.
And if you guys are enjoying the Calder Farmstead, please make sure you subscribe to get episodes in a timely fashion. Also, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Amazon Audible, please rate and review the podcast. Or if you're watching on YouTube, like the video, comment what you thought of the episode. Doing so helps others find the show. Your reviews help us improve it. You can also follow the show on social media at Calder Farmstead on Twitter, at The Calder Farmstead on Instagram and Facebook. Links to all of that and more can be found in our link tree, which is linktr.ee/The Calder Farmstead. You can big thank you to Adrian Drake, who made our theme music. You can find him on social media at AD_dysfunction, DYSFUNCTION. So he can make music for you too. Cece, where can people find you?
Well, my name is CC Hockley. You can find me representing Full Press Hockey on Twitter at FPC_AHL, and at my personal Twitter account at CCHawk. That's SEESEEHAWK. HAWK. Yes, I almost said HAWKLEY, but that would have been too long for Twitter. Mostly tweet about hockey, but hey, I love music, love tweeting about movies and such. Don't spoil Spider-Man No Way Home for me. I'm just saying, if you've seen it, don't. Just talk in your DMs. Leave it out of the public forum. You can also check out my writing on the Full Press Coverage Network at fullpresshockey.com. Sean, where can the people find you?
I'm Sean O'Brien. You can find me on Twitter at SeanO'Brien81. That's SeanO'Brien81. I'm also on Instagram at SeanO'Brien_81. Both of those are personal accounts, but my Twitter is mostly hockey. It's also where I do the graphs. You can find those graphs at my Tableau page on bit.ly/data-dump-and-chase, all lowercase, all one word. I don't have a mic to drop or swing or anything like that, but Cece, take us home.
Again, that will do it for episode number 70 of the Calder Farmstead AHL podcast. For Sean O'Brien, I'm CC Hockley. We appreciate you tuning in. And as always, keep your stick on the ice.